Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into the incredible world of biology. And let me tell you, it is this massive, sprawling subject that's probably way weirder and more amazing than you'd ever expect. Its branches stretch out in every direction imaginable.
So to kick things off, I've got a question for you. What on earth could wine, a silk scarf, and your own skin possibly have in common? I know it sounds like the start of a bad joke, right? But stick with me, because there is a fascinating answer, and we're going to find it.
Okay, so before we start climbing all over the branches of this giant tree of knowledge, we've got to understand the trunk. And for biology, the trunk, well, it's the very idea of science itself. We have to start there.
You see, the word science actually comes from the Latin word for knowledge. But the really crucial part isn't just having the knowledge. The key thing here is that it's a system. It's a process of observing the world, asking questions, and experimenting to really understand what's going on.
And here's something that might surprise you. People have been studying living things for, well, forever, right? But the actual word biology, this idea of one single unified field for all of life, is actually pretty new. It only popped up back in 1802.
For the longest time, the tree of life was seen as having two main, massive branches. On one side, you had zoology, that's the study of animals, and on the other, you had botany, everything to do with plants. And for a really long time, that was kind of it. If it was alive, it pretty much fit into one of those two big boxes.
But of course, it gets way more interesting and way more complicated than that. Biologists don't just ask, is it a plant or an animal? They look at life from all kinds of angles, from deep, deep in the past to the tiniest little pieces that make us who we are.
Think about paleontology. This is kind of like biology's time machine. It lets us look back millions, even billions of years into the past. By digging up fossils, these little frozen moments of ancient life, we can literally piece together the incredible story of life on our planet.
Then, if you go to the complete opposite end of the scale, you get genetics. This is where we pull out the ultimate microscope and zoom all the way in. We're talking about the actual blueprint of life itself, genes. How do you get certain traits from your parents? Genetics holds the answers.
Okay, now for the really fun stuff. Remember those two big branches, zoology and botany? Well, since then, an absolutely incredible number of specialized branches have sprouted. So let's do a quick little tour of some of the ologies that make up this huge forest of knowledge.
A lot of these branches just focus on one type of organism. I mean, it makes sense, right? Studying a fungus is totally different from studying a bird. So you get mycology for fungi, for insects that's entomology, ichthyology, that's fish, serpentology covers snakes, and ornithology is all about birds. Seriously, you name it, there's probably an analogy for it.
And it doesn't just stop with whole creatures. Biology gets super specific, focusing on every single part. Osteology is all about bones, histology dives into microscopic tissues, and then there's dermatology. You've probably heard of that one. It's the study of skin. And wait a minute, skin, there we go. That's the first piece of our little riddle from the beginning.
But why do we care about all these different studies? Well, this isn't just knowledge that sits in a textbook. All of this expertise gets put to work every single day in ways that really shape our lives, especially when it comes to what we eat and what we wear.
So let's see this in action. We're heading out to the farm, where understanding the biology of plants and animals isn't just helpful, it's the very foundation of cultivation.
And this is where it all clicks together so perfectly. Apiculture isn't just studying bees, it's the practice of raising them for honey. Sericulture is the specific science of rearing silkworms to produce silk. And viticulture, well, that's the art of growing grapes to make wine. So there it is, wine, silk, and skin. They're all connected by these dedicated specific branches of biology. Riddle solved.
But don't think this is all about ancient practices. I mean, making wine and silk has been around forever, of course. But today, scientists are taking these biological principles and pushing them into the future, creating completely new ways to cultivate the things we need.
So let's look ahead now to the real cutting edge of agriculture. We're talking about growing plants in ways that look like they're straight out of a science fiction movie, completely without soil.
Check this out. Aeroponics. It sounds impossible, growing plants in midair, but the process is actually elegantly simple. You just suspend a plant so its roots are hanging in the air, you keep those roots in a dark, humid chamber, and then you just mist them with a nutrient-rich solution. No soil needed. It's pure biology, giving the plant exactly what it needs and nothing it doesn't.
And you've probably heard of its close cousin, hydroponics. The principle is the same, no soil. But instead of a mist, the plant's roots are bathed in a nutrient-rich water solution.
Both of these methods are absolutely changing the future of how we grow our food.
So there you have it. We've gone from the simple definition of science all the way to growing plants in midair. It's pretty clear that biology has a branch for just about everything that lives and breathes. And that leaves you with a really cool question to think about. As our world changes, as we discover, or maybe even create, new forms of life, what new ology is going to be the next to sprout on this endless tree of knowledge?